I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says.
What standard are you pulling from to determine this is good and that is bad? You're either on God's side or you're on Satan's side, the world's side. There is no middle ground. The earth shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as much as the waters cover the sea. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 7. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the King of the Cosmos. It's been a week. I know that it's been a while, but my dad had neck surgery, and that's all doing very well. He's doing fine. He's recovering now. Just last week, when you got something stressful on your mind, you really can't do a whole lot of your normal work as efficiently as normal. So last week I was just focused on my Bible class for Otisville here and getting my sermon ready, and I decided just not to do King of the Cosmos that week because just too much going on. That's done. That's out of the way. That's in the past. He's doing great. Thank you for all of the prayers, by the way. And we have fantastic news, and it really is fantastic news because on Friday morning, Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And in that, we rejoice. We truly do rejoice because of the millions of unborn children that will now be saved. The millions of unborn children that will now have a chance at life. I was looking at a meme earlier this morning, and it's a father giving instruction to his child. And he said, son, when you're looking for a wife, make sure that she won't kill your baby. That's the first rule. And that is such a good lesson. It's very important. We celebrate today. We've been celebrating. Everybody's been celebrating ever since this was announced. And we're just happy. I was reading this statistic on Christianity Today. And in the year 2020, 930,000 babies were aborted. Just in the year 2020 alone. Okay, just in that year, almost 1 million babies in 1 year. That is astounding in a very, very bad, negative way. It was just terrible. I was reading it, and it's just my heart was just sinking at 930,000 babies slaughtered in the womb. And we've done an episode here on King of the Cosmos for abortion before. If you want to go look at that, it's on the YouTube page, it's on the Facebook page, it's somewhere on there. You just got to dig for it. I'll probably put it in the link for you. The thing about this is the majority, vast majority of abortions that were taking place in the United States alone were not because of rape or incest. That's 0.5% of the time. It's not. It doesn't even measure. It's not even there. Okay. And so the vast majority of these abortions will now be stopped in states that already have legislation. They've already introduced it, and some are seeking to put more legislation in order now that completely outlaws abortion. Okay. And some of the arguments that people are having that, oh man, this is gonna kill women. Do you know that around 2,000 women a year die from pregnancy-related deaths? Okay, 2,000. Let's just do a little bit of math. What sounds worse? 2,000 a year or 930,000? It's not comparable. It's just not. So let's rejoice. Let's rejoice in this. It is such a good day. It is a blessed day. We thank God for His grace and for His mercy in overturning Roe and everything like that. And it's moments like this that make me extremely post-millennial. Hashtag that post-mill. I mean, yep. The Lord is on his throne. He's putting all enemies under his feet. Yeah, there are some times when it looks like Jesus is not ruling and reigning, and it looks like we're just going downhill, but then we'll have another spike upwards. The course of all human history since Jesus has been on the throne has been on a upward curve in terms of economics, in terms of morality, in terms of the quality of life in general. It's just been going up. It's not a straight line up. It's like a jagged line up, but it's going up nonetheless. And it's times like these that I'm staunchly post-mill. So the Lord is reigning, and he's going to continue to reign. He's going to continue to reign until he puts all enemies under his feet. So we rejoice. We rejoice in this. That could be a whole episode in and of itself. It could be a whole episode sitting talking about abortion. We could probably do another abortion episode and talk about what the Bible talks about it. How life starts at conception, how in the womb, God already knows you. He already recognizes you as a person. But we've been over this stuff before. If we need to go over it again, we will. In fact, go ahead, leave a comment. Leave a comment if you would like to go ahead and do another study on abortion here on King of the Cosmos. So, in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and get into our study. And since I skipped last week, I'm not going to go back and do last week's class that I did here at Otisville. So, sorry. We are just going to pick up where we're supposed to pick up tonight when we continue the class. And we are in Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13. And we're going to try to do verses 53 through 58 and then pick it up in Matthew 14, verses 1 through 12. We're going to try to do all of that today. And it's really just two sections. It shouldn't take that long, but if anybody has heard me preach, don't believe that. So, cup of coffee, brain juice flowing, and now we're going to get into the Bible study. So, in verses 53 through 58, okay, Jesus is rejected at Nazareth. And when he had finished these parables, he went away from there, okay? So, you missed it last week. If you weren't here at Otisville, sorry. He just got done talking about a bunch of parables. We've been over the parable of the sower. We've been over the parable of the weeds. Last week here, we talked about some other parables that were pretty important. The parable of the hidden treasure, the parable of the pearl of great price, parable of the net, and we talked about those. Not going to talk about those again, but that's the end of Jesus's parable section, okay? And now he's going on to Nazareth. Why do I keep doing that? Verse 54, and coming to his hometown, he taught them in their synagogues. Now, question has to come up. Why in the world did he go back to his hometown? Okay, something that we didn't really get to cover a whole lot was in Matthew chapter 12, right before Jesus gives all of these parables. Jesus' mother and his brothers came to him, and they were probably convinced, most likely, that he was crazy, that he lost his mind, and they came to calm him down and bring him back home before he made any more of a stir in the community. And they tried to stop him, but he said no. He said no. He knew what he was doing. They don't know what he's doing. Were they around? My question is, because I don't even know this, my question is, were they even around for any of the miracles that he did? Were they around for any of his teachings? I don't know. Obviously, if they weren't around for the miracles, of course they think he's crazy, okay? But those who saw the miracles knew that he was God, okay? And they either followed him or they hardened their hearts against him, okay? Two options there. So he goes back to his hometown, okay? And when Jesus finished these parables, he went away from there, and coming to his hometown, he taught them in their synagogue, so that they were astonished, and said, "Where did this man get this wisdom and these mighty works?" Now, I have to do a full stop there, because I know the context of the rest of the passage, and probably you do too. They're going to reject him. He gets rejected here. It says, these mighty works. So does that mean he was doing miracles for them, and they still rejected? Could be. I don't know what else the mighty works would be. Usually when the phrase mighty works is used, it's in the reference of miracles, okay? And Jesus is teaching. He's displaying the wisdom of God because he's God. He is the Messiah, and he's doing miracles. And they're wondering, where did he get all these things? Verse 55, is not this the carpenter's son? Joseph, remember. Is not his mother called Mary? And are not his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? Are not all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get these things? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown and in his own household. And he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. So we have kind of confirmation there that he did do mighty works, but not very many because of their unbelief. Now, this whole section brings up a very familiar concept that I hope we all know. Familiarity breeds contempt, okay? When you know somebody, you don't really look at them like the rest of the people in society are. If somebody's known for something, if somebody's famous for something, or if somebody has a good reputation among the community, generally with those who are familiar with them, they don't bring that reputation with them. They don't see them as special as everybody else does. Okay? And of course this can be compared to your Christian walk. Some of you were born in the church. Some of you weren't. I wasn't. Tell me if this is true. I know from experience it's true. Tell me if this is true. When you became a Christian, your coworkers, okay, maybe even your family, your friends that you hung out with for so long, okay, when you became a Christian, how many of them were unconvinced? They were unconvinced that you were actually truly converted to Christ because, hey, I know you. Hey, you used to do this. You used to do that. I know you. You can't fool us. You can't trick us, okay? And they don't take your conversion seriously. It's a sad thing. Sorry about that. My mother just called. Speaking of family, my mother just called. So, Mom, if you see this later, thanks. Thanks a lot. Okay. Got me off my flow, my rhythm. So, okay. You have to know that when you become a Christian, people aren't going to take you seriously. Not at first. At least not the people that, are actually used to being around you. They don't believe you. They don't believe you're truly converted to Christ. They don't believe you actually become a Christian because you did X in your life. You did terrible things. And they point that out to you and they hold it over your head. We know you. You're not being serious about this. That's a tough break. It really is. Because for a lot of those people, they'll never become convinced, unfortunately, of your conversion to Christ. They never will. Because they knew you when you were not a Christian. And all Christians, I think, to an extent, know what that feels like. The most important thing that you can do, okay, Christian, the most important thing that you can do is remain consistent with your calling, okay? Just because your relatives, your coworkers, your longtime friends who knew you before you were a Christian, just because they point out your faults to you doesn't mean that you should give up the game and, start over and, just go back to your old life. No, don't do that, okay? Don't do that. It's a hard thing, but the most important thing for you to do is to remain consistent with your calling, remain consistent with the Christian confession, even if they're never convinced. Because your Christian faith is not about other people. It's not. Your faith is not about other people. Your faith is about God. Your faith is about the one who your faith is in, okay? So keep that in mind. Jesus knows exactly how that feels, but he's not going to stop preaching. He's not going to stop doing miracles. He's not going to stop moving along with the calling of the Messiah, what he's supposed to be doing, what he will do in the future, dying for his people's sins. He's not going to stop. He doesn't let it discourage him, and we shouldn't either, okay? There are going to be people in the world that will never become convinced, okay? So just leave that at that. So now we get into Matthew chapter 14, verses 1 through 12, okay? And we're going to start in verse, well, obviously we're going to start in verse 1, but we're going to stop halfway through somewhere. At that time, Herod, the tetrarch, heard about the fame of Jesus. And he said to his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He has been raised from the dead. That is why these miraculous powers are at work in him." So, first of all, verse 1, you have to remember that this kind of stuff did not just happen in the corner of a world, okay? Of the world, okay? It didn't happen in a closet. It didn't happen behind curtains, behind closed doors. No, these were very, very public events. This is front page news, so to speak. All this stuff with Jesus is very, very real, okay? This is why atheists have pretty much given up on the fact that, oh, Jesus never really existed. Well, they've given up because they know that that's unprovable. All the evidence inside the Bible and outside of the Bible speak right against that. Jesus was real. Okay, he was real. He really did die on the cross, and he really did cause a stir. Okay, he really did cause a stir, and here's some internal proof of that. Okay, it reached the king. It reached King Herod. Okay, he heard about the fame of Jesus. Now, people in positions of power, they don't pay attention to all of the minute details of life like we do. People who are, just living every day and everything like that. They only get wind of news if it's really, really important. And Jesus is really, really important. So just remember, this is front page stuff. And he said, verse 2, to his servants, "This is John the Baptist." Okay? He has been raised from the dead. That is why these miraculous powers are at work in him. Now, I wonder why he would have thought that it was John the Baptist particularly, specifically. Why he would have. Because he knows that he killed him. And we'll get into that here in a second. It probably has something to do with Malachi, is my understanding. It probably has something to do with Malachi and how they were expecting Elijah to return and to do these great and mighty works and everything like that, and prepare the way for Yahweh, who is the Messiah, Jesus. And he probably was thinking, the moment he gave the authority, the call to go ahead and behead him, he was probably thinking, this isn't going to work. He's probably thinking that. Now, that's just my own speculation. But you had to think that, well, he knew that he wouldn't just get away with it, and Herod's guilty conscience for doing this, beheading a prophet of God, probably ate at him a lot. And so he grasped at anything. Oh, this is happening, so it must be John the Baptist. He's back from the dead, and I'm in trouble. Yeah. Guilty consciences can make you think a whole bunch of stuff. But it's not John the Baptist. John the Baptist is dead at this point. Who it is God in flesh, Jesus. Now he gets into the account of him talking about what happened, why he killed John the Baptist. Verse 3. 4. For Herod had seized John and bound him and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. Now why? Why did he put him in prison? Okay? Because, verse 4, because John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Now, what is John doing there? Okay? What does he mean it's not lawful for him to have her? Well, he's talking about God's law. He's talking about the things that God has already spoken about, and God has spoken on the issue of your brother's wife, sleeping with your brother's wife, making her your wife when that's not what's supposed to happen. So in Leviticus 18, verse 16, it says, "You shall not uncover the nakedness of your brother's wife. It is your brother's nakedness." And again, in chapter 20, verse 21, still in the book of Leviticus, it says, "If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless." So yeah, it's condemnable. It's wrong. And this implies the reason why this is wrong is because his brother Philip is still alive. Okay, there's a whole provision in the law of God for if your brother dies, then you next in line are to take your brother's wife and produce offspring for him. Okay, this is only wrong if his brother is still alive. Okay, and that's why it's wrong. That's why John the Baptist says to him, yeah, the guy's brave enough to go to a leader and speak righteousness, speak truth, speak God's law. How many of us get uncomfortable talking about God's law or talking about truth, talking about goodness, talking about righteousness in front of other people or even on social media because we're scared of what they will say, because we're scared. Oh, we don't want to offend people. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. That's the wrong attitude. Say things in a spirit of love. Yes, I understand that. Absolutely. But you never compromise on truth, okay? It doesn't matter if the whole world is against you, like it was with Noah, okay? It doesn't matter if the whole world's against you. If you know that God has spoken on this, if you have a thus says the Lord, if God has said something that this is good or this is bad, it doesn't matter what the world's opinion is, okay? You speak truth on that issue, okay? You don't skirt around it. You speak the truth in love. And that's what John the Baptist did. Now, it doesn't mean it's without consequence. Speaking the truth never means it's without consequence. You look at the Old Testament, and there's tons of accounts of prophets of God being punished for simply speaking what God told them to speak, simply speaking the truth. Jeremiah, Micaiah, many people, okay, get punished, persecuted for speaking the truth. Don't think that because you've spoken the truth on something that the world won't want to hurt you, won't want to retaliate, won't want revenge, because they will, okay? They will want that, and they'll seek it. And John's getting a little bit here, okay? He got thrown into prison. That's the consequence. The world will give you consequence for daring to speak against what they want to do, okay? They will give you consequence every single time. If it's in their power to do it, they're going to do it every single time. And we're seeing that today. We are seeing that today, okay? So, continuing on here, okay? Let's see, where are we? Verse 5, okay? And though he wanted to put him to death, he feared the people because they held him to be a prophet. Okay? So, the King Herod threw him in prison. Okay? He wanted to kill him, but he didn't. Verse 6, but when Herod's birthday came, the daughter of Herodias danced before the company and pleased Herod, so that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. Okay? Verse 8, prompted by her mother, she said, give me the head of John the Baptist here on a platter. Okay, it was not enough that John the Baptist, for daring to speak against them in truth and righteousness by God's law, what he said, it was not enough that he was thrown in jail. She wanted him dead, okay? And Herod, he went along with it, okay? They wanted him dead. Now, why such an extreme reaction against those who simply want to speak the truth, preach the truth, whatever it is, okay? Why such an extreme reaction? Well, we've talked about this a few times, like in Romans 1, okay? When people are suppressing the truth of God in unrighteousness, that word suppressing, you're holding it down. And it's not just you push it down and it's done and over with. No, the whole time you're pushing it down, it's pushing back against you. You have to continually put force on this thing that you're trying to hold down, okay? And I give the illustration of like a ball in water, okay? And you're trying to hold it down. And the harder down you push, the more it's going to push back at you. And you finally get the ball under the water, and some annoying kid comes over, smacks the ball out of your hand, and it skyrockets out of the water. And, you get water in your eyes and everything like that. It's annoying. The little kid that did that is annoying for smacking the ball out of your hand when you're trying to submerge it, okay? And as a kid, that kind of thing makes you angry. So on a much more mature and adult level, when we're trying to suppress certain aspects of morality because we know they're wrong, but we want to deal with them anyway, so in our minds, in our consciences, we press them down. When somebody comes along and confirms the thing we're trying to press down, it makes them angry. It makes them angry, okay? And that's what's happening here, okay? It wasn't enough. And you get violent reactions over this. Violent reactions. It wasn't enough that John the Baptist got thrown into prison. No, they wanted him beheaded. They wanted him dead for daring to challenge their authority, for daring to say that they were morally wrong and in sin and needed to repent. That kind of thing makes everyone upset. Everyone, okay? And, we can see this even today. When Roe was overturned, okay? What's been happening since then? Rage, insurrection. People they're just angry. They're angry because they know that there is a large group of people out here in the United States that know that abortion is wrong and it's sinful and it's murder. Okay? And so that brings about violent reactions. Violent. I saw a video of a guy use a flamethrower on a police officer's face just 2 days ago, a day ago or 2 days ago. It's that kind of violence. Whenever righteousness is spoken, if the world has suppressed something for long enough, and we come along and say, no, this is wrong. You can't keep doing that. The longer they've been holding it down, the more violent the reaction. Okay, I don't know exactly. I'm sure I could find this somewhere. I don't know exactly how long it was that Herod had his brother Philip's wife. I don't know. My guess, and this is my guess is that if he took her and 10 minutes later John the Baptist said that was wrong, maybe they wouldn't have been so violent against him. Maybe some time had built up, and in their conscience they knew that it was wrong, and they're continually pressing it down, ignoring it, because this is what I want to do. The longer you push something like that down, when it finally comes back to the surface, it's explosion of anger. And that's what we have, to the extent of wanting to decapitate a prophet of God. Here we are, and this is how human beings react to righteousness. And it's not going to stop. Look, it's not going to stop. Okay, even people in the church. There are people in the church that they'll believe almost everything that you believe about the Bible. But there will be just that one issue they don't want to talk about, they don't want to think about, and as soon as it gets brought up and they don't have a good response to it, they get angry, they get upset, they lash out. Okay? There's a good principle here about denying yourself. When you deny yourself and you only want God's will to be done, and you want everything that is good and everything that is righteous, when you deny yourself, it becomes easier to acclimate yourself to those truths. Because as soon as you become a Christian, you're learning thing after thing after thing about, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. I've been doing this and I've been doing that. And it's all very, very heavy. But if you are denying yourself the entire time, it becomes easier to accept these truths from God. Okay? So that you don't get caught in a position where you accept 90% of his truth, but there's just 10% that you have a problem with. So, okay. Now, verse 9. And the king was sorry. The king was sorry But because of his oath and his guests, he commanded it to be given. He sent and had John beheaded in the prison, and his head was brought on a platter and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. And his disciples came and took the body and buried it, and they went and told Jesus. There's a teaching here about rash oaths. Don't make a rash oath, okay? We know the Old Testament story. The best example in the Old Testament of making rash vows, Jephthah's daughter. You remember Jephthah's daughter in Judges chapter 11? Jephthah, for whatever reason in his head, whatever he was thinking, I don't know. He said, whatever comes through my door, I'm going to sacrifice to God. Now hold on, because that's what he said. Now hold on. You're not expecting an animal to walk through your door, Jephthah. He's talking about a human being. Why in the world he would say that is beyond me. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get to ask him in heaven. We'll see. But who was the next one to walk through the door? His daughter. He said, whoever walks through that door, I'm going to give as Hebrew, olah. It's a burnt offering. It's not she's going to be in the temple service for the rest of, no, burnt offering. And because of his oath, and because of how serious oaths were to be taken, because we don't have that kind of view of oaths today, okay? When you make a promise, you make an oath, you swear, it is to be very, very serious. We don't have that kind of understanding today, okay? But back then they did. It was very, very serious. If you swore by Yahweh that you were going to do something, you did it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You were going to do it. Even to the extent of, I said I was going to sacrifice the next person that came through the door. It's my daughter. I'm dumb, but here we go. I made my bed, have to lie in it. Okay? Be careful with what you say. Be careful with what you say. If you don't make an oath. And in fact, that's exactly what Jesus teaches in Matthew chapter 5. He gives us instruction. Verse 33, again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but perform to the Lord what you have sworn. Okay? There's the standard. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say simply be yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil or the evil one. Just don't make an oath. You're going to save yourself a lot of trouble just by not doing it, not swearing to do this or that. Okay? And Herod didn't learn that. So he sacrificed. Jephthah sacrificed his daughter. Herod went ahead and beheaded John the Baptist because he made an oath. He said, I'll give you up to however much of my kingdom. What do you say? Hold on. Promised it. Yeah. Verse 7, 14 verse 7. So that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. Okay. Not up to something of his kingdom. That's something that's in the Nathan Razor translation. My brain's mush today. If you haven't noticed, my head is just not here still. It's just flooded with all sorts of things, and it slows me down, and my mind gets slowed down. So, anywho, that's the end of the episode. And next time we're going to pick it up with, Jesus feeds the 5,000. That's going to be very fun. That's always a good one. And we'll pick it up there next time. Praise God for the overturning of Roe. And I pray that you guys have a good day, a blessed day. And I'll see you all later, okay? Take care. God bless. Oh, wait! Hold on. I forget to say this sometimes. Please like the video. Please share the video. Really helps us to get our content out there. And so, we shall talk to you later, okay? Take care.